So now that we're in December, one of the things that I do every year to a deranged amount is bake cookies. Growing up, my grandmother baked cookies for my grandfather's office, for the family, and at her house in Bayside, they had this giant porch in the back, and there's this memory I have of my grandmother with lines and lines and lines of wax paper covered in cookies. So when we moved here, my grandmother came here and we started doing it here, and then it became the, oh, we'll bake a little bit and we'll vanish, and and then it became a joke that I took it over. So nowadays I do it for my kids' school, the security, and several other people, and the parents think I'm insane because I spend 4 days baking at all hours of the day and night. But I enjoy it, and it makes my kids happy that I do this. So the cookies I'm making now are actually my dad's favorite. In front of me is actually a cookbook that's got all my grandmother's recipes in it. And unfortunately they're not in her hand, but she did give me all the recipes because, they came directly from her. She typed them on the computer. So the one I'm making tonight is the Nutball Cookies, which is like a family joke that, crushing everybody's nuts. But, other than that, Kimmie made some bad jokes earlier about it. So I will be making them, and then poor Kim will be stuck rolling balls of nuts with me, whether she likes it or not, so she'll have to wash her hands. So, okay, so to start this one off, this actually has flour, sugar, nuts, vanilla, and salt, and butter, and that's it. So it's really a very simple recipe too. If you are allergic to nuts, you can't use it. You can use walnuts or pecans. We usually do a mixture of both. So I'm doubling the batch, which is easy. It's one of those simple things that you can actually double with no problems. So I have here 2 cups of butter in the bottom. I know it seems like a lot, but since I'm doubling the batch, it's really not that big of a deal. All right, and it has to be softened butter, otherwise this won't work at all. And then you smush it down a little bit just to get it into the bottom. Okay, and then I need, what does it say here? You would think after making this for so many years I'd actually know. A cup of sugar. The amount of sugar I've actually gone through in the last couple of days is frightening, actually. And then I need half a teaspoon of salt. And to be honest, it doesn't make a difference what kind, kosher or not kosher. I prefer kosher just because it's my preference, but you don't have to use it. I know everyone says this, but it is really the truth. Good vanilla is like the thing you need to put in everything. And you'd be surprised, you can actually find good vanilla in like the discount retail stores. You can actually find it in some of the big chain stores too. Supermarket stuff is fine, it's just doesn't taste the same. So you need 2 teaspoons of this when you double a batch. And then the flour. With this recipe, order is not as important as some of the other recipes. Normally you want to mix the sugar and the butter together and then add the flour in small amounts, but this particular recipe doesn't require it as much. And then for this one, we need 4 cups of flour. And then of course the nuts. Sometimes I sift flour, which makes a big mess. Like when Caitlin was little, we were cookie baking. My uncle was here at the time. I'm not even sure how Uncle Mark ended up in the midst of cookie baking because he's really not a cookie baking kind of person. So my grandmother told Caitlin to level the flour. So Grandma assumed Caitlin was going to do this. No, Caitlin went like this and blew flour all over the kitchen. So my uncle took one look at the situation, grabbed Caitlin under one arm and the chair under the other, and took him right outside because my mother had this look of panicked horror of, oh my God, what have they done to my kitchen? So it was kind of funny. We had a lot of that growing up, especially when we were cookie baking. And then I have 2 cups of nuts. So I have here walnuts and pecans, which I'm mixing to do this. So I'm not the most gracious person on the planet, so forgive me on this one. Okay. And they don't have to be finely ground. They can be a little bit of mixture. It's totally okay. And there we go. All right, and now onto the mixer. Everything's in, check. Butter, sugar, salt, vanilla, flour, walnuts. And I think we have a visitor coming down the stairs. Who's coming down the stairs that wants to be part of shooting? Hi, Mom. And Mom has brought something down, which as soon as I put this on, I'll go get. So now I'm gonna put this on the mixer. So one of the other very oddly crazy things we do in our house is that we make Christmas trees for people. This one is actually for Kimmie and Sheila. And as you look at the tree, I don't know if she can actually zoom in on it or not, there are some very special ornaments on the very front of the tree. Can you zoom in on them? That we had as part of our collection that we thought should be part of theirs. So, right here is Kimmie's favorite person on the whole planet, which is Stitch. And then here's her Lilo. So we thought this Charlie Brown tree deserved to be in their home. And then they have on it my favorite person on the whole planet, Pooh Bear. Because this way when they see it, they think of us. So we do crazy things like this because we're not normal. It's a soul pact.
Yes, but why do we use these?
Okay, so when making cookies, we use these things because they don't stick to the tray. If you use it directly on a metal tray, the heat transfers too much and the bottom of your cookies get too crunchy.
Okay, but why don't you use like the ham or some crap like that?
Because it's bad for you.
I was just asking.
No.
What
All right, so we are actually using melon balls. Balls.
I'm never gonna hear the end of this.
No, you're not. Balls. Okay, here's your baller. Okay. So you literally scoop just that much out, and you actually need to roll it into a ball.
Oh my god, that is German.
I wasn't kidding. I just like just that size that works the best. That's all. Balls.
Is that a good ball?
That's a perfect ball. You know, no two balls are the same.
I got nothing.
It's funny and true though.
It is. But I got nothing. All right, this ball doesn't work.
All right, so in your house, I can't be the only house that has really weird Christmas cookie traditions. So, you know, your mother and your grandmother are from Germany, so there has to be something that they make at Christmas.
My grandmother, when she could, made a rum cake.
Okay.
And it was something we always wanted because my mother would make the whipped cream and everything that went on top. She made it from scratch.
Okay.
So I would help her make
schlag.
Okay.
That's what they call it.
I think I have really big balls, by the way.
It's fine.
So anyway, we would be making this all day, and then when it came time to eating for cake, my grandmother would always bring bakery cookies, and I'd be like, screw that, I want the cake. That's what we made. I want cake. So my mother one year, I think I was like 11, she let me try the cake. I slept maybe 20 minutes after having the cake because basically my mother would carve out the whole center, throw it in a bowl, and take an entire bottle of it, I think, of rum, and just plummet it in there. So everybody basically be like, are you driving? Well, you're not driving anytime soon.
Yes.
So that's about it. I mean, we never really made cookies. The one time my mom and I got on a kick, I was like, I'm gonna make fresh gingerbread cookies.
Yeah, they're kind of hard.
It's not that they're hard. It's annoying. The molasses is annoying.
It takes a while to get the recipe down. And that's what I mean. It's not one of those recipes that I find enjoyable to make. I gotta be honest.
No.
If you get the mixture wrong, they taste funky.
Well, they tasted amazing. The problem was I had molasses under my nails for what felt like hours.
Yeah.
Felt like days. The problem that killed me was we rolled them out, we were doing everything right, and then all of a sudden we ran out of cutters and realized we had nothing to cut with.
Oh, I have an entire tub of cookie cutters.
Well, I can
share.
I didn't know you then.
I know, but I can share.
So I had little things, and unfortunately for me, the way my mother and I cut them, am I putting them too close together?
No, they're perfect. 4 across. 5 down.
All right, well,
they don't spread.
Okay. Needless to say, when we decided we were looking at these cookies, considering we are on the topic of nutballs, My cookies were not child friendly because of the way they ended up spreading on the tray.
They had a very phallic look to them.
Because they all got stuck together and then we had to cut them. So when we cut them down, it really looked bad. And my mother and I to this day start laughing that we had very phallic gingerbread cookies.
Well, you know.
We never made cookies again.
Well, see, that's sad.
No, we made gingerbread cookies, but like my mom eventually will teach me how to make a rum cake, but usually my mom and I will try to make a rum cake and then we'll get all the fixins and then we'll sip some rum.
Okay, well that's not such a bad thing either.
No.
No. We don't, it's funny, cakes like that we didn't make. My grandmother makes, or made, she's gone, she made banana cake. That was one of her big things to make. And then she would make really cool, like those character cakes. So like for my birthdays, like I got a castle cake one year,
nice.
An actual castle, and she made me a train with all different cars when I was a kid. And I actually had, before Martha Stewart made it popular, not to bash Martha, I love Martha, but the doll in the cake, so she looked like the princess.
Oh yeah.
So she makes the bundt cake and then you decorate the cake to look like, you know, the princess dress, which I have done all of these cakes except for the train. I haven't done the train yet, for my kids. Which Ed thinks I'm insane, but you know.
I might have more than 5 down.
You're fine. I'm just gonna help you because you're slower.
I'm slow. I'm slow at the way I roll.
What, you just not.
This is how I roll.
This is how you.
You are old.
It's okay. So yes, I mean cookies was more the big thing with my grandmother, and it was funny because she used to actually, the joke was she would actually do them in the middle of the night, because my dad and his brothers would eat them off the tray as they were coming out of the oven. So the only way she was guaranteed that she'd have them for my grandfather to bring into the office was if she actually did it in the middle of the night, which for my grandmother was fine. She was an insomniac, so it was fine.
See, Sheila's the baker in my family. Sheila will make oatmeal cookies. She makes banana bread from scratch. You know, she does all that stuff. I just look at her and I'm like, yes, please.
You know, it's not for everybody. Everyone does it, you know.
Oh, I make amazing brownies.
Okay.
I make killer brownies. I'm just
assuming they're plain brownies and not altered in any capacity.
I don't alter brownies. No, I don't do that.
When you say I make awesome brownies, most people might think.
I don't make funky brownies. I make dark chocolate brownies. I'd like you to know. Viewing public.
All right, so now we're gonna put the pig timer on because it's about a 10 to 12 minute cookie time test, and then they come out. So I'm gonna put the pig timer on.
But mind you, we've got 2 trays full and I still have a lot of balls mixed.
Yes, I have to get the rest of the trays. Yes, and yes, I actually have a pig timer because I like. Okay, the pig timer's going off. Let's get them out of the oven. And here we go. See? Pig timer. Perfect nut balls. Perfect shape. They don't really spread, which is great. And I just need to put these on something because they're a little hot. Let's put these 2 in. Now we let them cool, and then we coat them in powdered sugar, which is really, really yummy. Because if you coat them in powdered sugar now, it just turns to oozy mess, which is really not very good. So, 4 trays out of a doubled package. It's roughly 160 cookies. And most people don't have more than 3 or 4 unless they're like my father and will eat a whole tin because they're his favorite. So, these are for Dad, and I love you, Grandma. Merry Christmas.
Hold on.